I recently bought some linen so that I could make a shift with more fitted sleeves that could be worn underneath medieval garments. Before washing the linen, I used a zigzag stitch along the edges so that the fabric wouldn't fray while it was being washed. I'm not very experienced with using linen fabric, and I was surprised at how bouncy it was after it was washed and dried. After washing and drying the fabric, I used a pencil to mark out my pattern pieces on the fabric. And then I started cutting out all of the pattern pieces that I would need to make my shift. Alright, so I've cut out 2 long strips to be the body. This is the width of the linen fabric that I got. But it is really wide, and I feel like it goes past my feet. So what I think I'm going to do is, let's just say from the bottom of my main body panel, I'll cut out pieces for sleeves. So I'll cut out one sleeve from this one, and then the second sleeve from the other piece over on my chair. For the sleeves, I cut away triangular pieces away from the end where the wrist would be, and then I moved those up to the upper arm area and sewed those on to create my sleeve shape. I folded all of the seams under so that there would be no raw edges, and hopefully this won't fall apart anytime soon, and then I just filled those down by hand so that all of the seams would be nice and finished. Okay, so my sleeves are now ready and done. Their seams are all filled, so those will be ready to attach after I do what I'm going to do now, which is sew along here. So this is where the shoulders and neckline of the shift are going to be, the front and the back. And after I sew this together, then I'll figure out the neckline. I'll cut a small hole and then adjust it as I see that it needs to be adjusted when I try it on. And then after that, I will probably attach the sleeves. So for this project, I alternated in between doing running stitches and then back stitches. For along the top of the shoulders, I just used running stitches. And there I am cutting out the hole for the neckline, and then I just adjust it later for how wide I want it when I try it on. Before attaching the sleeves to the shift, I went ahead and filled the seams at the shoulders. And when the shoulders were done, then I started sewing the sleeves on to the shift. I had already cut out a rectangular piece of fabric that I would use for the gores, but I hadn't actually cut out the gores yet, so right here I am cutting out my gore pieces. One of the gores will end up being in 2 pieces, and one will be 1 piece for the gore because I cut the rectangle on the fold. For the gore that was cut in half, I pinned each gore to the side of the shift that it was going to be on, and then after it was attached there, then I would sew it down the center of the gore to attach it. And after the gores were sewn into place, then I went back, folded the shift in the way it would be, but right sides together, and I started sewing starting at the wrist of the sleeves all the way down to the bottom of the shift. Sometimes it is nice to change your scenery a little bit while sewing a project by hand that is taking quite a while to do. So sometimes I would go outside and sew just for a change of scenery. And you can see my little sewing buddy here. This is Amidala, our barn cat. The sleeves ended up way too long, so I did actually have to trim those down. After the excess length of the sleeve was cut away, I folded the lower edge in and then hemmed it by just using a simple running stitch. After hemming the sleeves, I went ahead and started working on hemming the bottom of the shift. After tracing out a neckline that I was happy with, I went ahead and cut that out.